to lead this discussion here. Actually, my original plan was not to talk about nuclear issue, but in Japan we are coming to a very critical point. So I decided to talk about this, and my wish is to relate this nuclear power issue to localization. To say the conclusion first, the nuclear power to me represents the centralized power in two meanings, eh?
Yeah.
It symbolizes, it embodies centralized power, and I think the solution, the answer is very simple and obvious. That is localized energy, right, and democracy. But anyway, let me start. Let me start with
your introduction, please, a little bit.
Pardon me?
About yourself, Keibo.
Oh, my name is Keibo Oyiwa. I'm from Japan. I'm an anthropologist and I'm an activist.
Great.
Okay, so let me start with this statement, which was being made. This is not complete yet. Over exchange of emails since 2 days ago, we have been kind of creating this. And main people who wrote this are from a group called 100 Mothers Against Nuclear Power. And they are now forming themselves, kind of developing themselves into something called 1 Million Mothers. Right? Okay, this is a letter to the world. Dear people in the world, please lend us a hand. Right now, Japanese government is hastily pushing forward the plan to restart 10 of the idled nuclear power reactors in Japan. Nearly 3 years have passed since the Fukushima nuclear disaster, but the disaster is still far from over. An astronomical amount of contaminated water is being poured into the ocean. Residents of the area, including children and the workers at the nuclear plant, are still being forced to be exposed to radiation. Contamination is continuing to spread out, and the problem is not just contained within Fukushima nor Japan. At present, all the nuclear power plants in Japan have stopped operation since the accident. And we have no shortage of electricity. To protect lives, to protect the children, we need to prevent the restart of idled nuclear plants by all means. Dear people in the world, please lend us a hand with this. According to the global standards, the maximum permissible annual radiation exposure is 1 millisievert. It gets a little technical here, but anyway, that's the expose, that's not a dose of exposure to radiation. In Fukushima, the annual radiation exposure limit was raised by the Japanese government to 20 millisievert after the nuclear disaster, and it has been equally applied even to pregnant women and infants who are so vulnerable to the maybe hundreds of times more vulnerable than adults. Children in and around Fukushima are beginning to show health abnormalities. Pediatric thyroid cancer is normally found in 1 to 2 in 1 million children. But in a survey of 270,000 children, 33 were found to have it, and 41 were suspected of having it. This incident rate is more than 100 times higher than the ordinary times. Are you following me?
Yes.
Health abnormalities are not restricted to cancers. All kinds of health problems have been reported. What are the main reasons for allowing the higher level radiation exposure and ignoring and dismissing the reports on the health abnormalities? One reason is that the government is afraid of the huge compensation costs for relocation and evacuation. Another is the government's wish to spread the impression that the damages from the nuclear accident is small, so as to promote the restart of nuclear plants. Dear people in the world, please lend us a hand. From where you are, please urge to deter the restart of the nuclear plants. Please make the appeal with us. Bring the annual radiation exposure limit back to 1 millisievert. We cannot protect children or all lives, unless a worldwide appeal is made. To protect children, we have stood up as a million mothers. Please let us make this movement a worldwide effort with your help. Dear people in the world, please lend us a hand. A million mothers. Okay, that's it. So you know the situation, right? The crisis continuing, and it's not contained at all. Although the Japanese government and the media are trying to underplay it, or ignore it, dismiss it, but the crisis is right there. And I don't have to talk about the details of this crisis, and the information is available through internet. So if you're interested, please check. Crisis is continuing. Yet the government and huge corporations that surround the government are pushing very hard for the restart of nuclear power plants. We've got now about 50 nuclear plants, nuclear reactors, and none of them is in operation. And before the accident, I mean, the government and also the electric companies were always saying that without nuclear power, right, there will be a crisis, shortage of electricity and blackouts and confusion and a damage in economy and so forth. But it's been proven that that was a lie. But still, they're saying that for economic growth, and international competition in the global market, we really have to restart the machine. So let me. Do you have any questions so far about the situation?
Yes. Like now, especially for India, for example, we are being told that everything is fine in Japan, and Fukushima is just a one-off thing, and it cannot happen anywhere else in the world. And people are opposing. Our government is trying to convince everybody. And then recently, about the Japanese Prime Minister. He came to India,
Yeah,
and
to
to sell nuclear energy and also to sign the liability act.
Yes.
So fortunately, because of the cooperation of Japanese and Indian people, it was stopped. But what do you feel on this this act of trying to sell nuclear energy?
I want the Indian people to listen to these mothers. You know, I think including not only the government people or people in the corporation, I think everybody now, you know, stop here and just try to listen to the mothers and the fathers who have small children. You know, and they're the people. They have the voice of truth. You know, what is really necessary for us?
Yeah.
What are the most important things in life? You know, what are the bottom lines of our survival, our existence, our living?
Yeah.
You know?
I have a crucial question. If after the nuclear plants have been shut down and you still didn't have a power problem, where was the power coming from? Because we are told that entire Japanese power is coming from the nuclear energy.
No. It used to be said that about 30% were nuclear power. But actually, we didn't need these, you know, nuclear power. But they pretended that without these 30% of power coming from nuclear plants, there will be a shortage of energy.
Okay.
But as I said, I mean, it was a lie.
What did make it, is total electricity consumption lower than it was, or have other sources come online?
Immediately after the accident, right? We reduced our consumption by 20%, which is an amazing achievement.
That's amazing.
And we did it. People did it. You know, not that you know, they did it. You know, the government they tried to scare us. You know, saying that there will be a blackouts and all this. You know. But there was no violence or any kind of turbulence. I mean, calmly, orderly, you know, we organized ourselves to reduce the consumption. And that shows a lot of things, you know, right away 20%. But then now, of course, for the, and plus, important things that when they talk about the shortage of electricity, they are talking about industry, you know, and to continue what they call the path of economic growth, which is not happening anywhere, but they maintain that you know, we have to consume more and more energy. But let me explain how the structure is made up. I think nothing tells us of the terrible nature of the centralized power in, you know, power in political power, better than the centralized energy system of nuclear power. And nothing tells us of the horrible result of the centralized power better than the Fukushima nuclear accident. So, and three years have passed already, and we have to realize at the same time that this central power, political power, is still have a very strong grip on people, and still the majority of people haven't realized that this nuclear accident is related to this political structure.
Can you explain that?
Yes, I'm going to. Okay, although there are so many problems, you know, continuing from the accident, somehow the government managed. Managed to maintain the quite high level of popularity. Although 60 to 70% of people still oppose restart of the nuclear power, and they are wishing that there will be no nuclear power, in Japan. However, 50 to 60% of people are still in favor of this government, which is pushing strongly for a restart of nuclear power and going back to the old business as usual, going back to the where we came from. So I really want to discuss with you about this gap. It seems that this gap exists almost everywhere in the world today. People continue to elect the government. Okay, that promises eternal economic growth and stronger competition in global markets and so forth, right? Why is that? And at the same time, we see a lot of grassroots movements that are challenging the status quo, and trying to make changes in different fields. But still, when it's translated into the national politics, the result seems to be always the same. So I really want to ask these questions, if you have some answers or opinions, I want to hear that. Okay, first of all, I want to talk about the nature. Do you know what the nuclear power is, by the way?
Yeah, some of us.
How does it work?
Fission of larger atomic elements.
It's very interesting. We've got we used to have 54 nuclear reactors in Japan. 54. In very, it's on the land that is very, what is it called?
Fragile.
Seismic, very dangerous place, with so many earthquakes. 54. They managed to make 54 reactors. It itself is a very, insane, right?
Yes.
And you know how dangerous, nuclear power is, or from the mining to the end result, the waste.
Waste, yes.
All the way it's toxic, and this danger continues to exist for some people call it for 1 million years, right? Hundreds of thousands of years. So why is it so? What justified the existence of 54 nuclear plants, in Japan?
I have a very crucial question.
Many people after the 3/11, the disaster, right? Many people started to wonder for the first time. First of all, why did we end up
like this,
having so many?
Yeah, I have a question. Post Hiroshima and Nagasaki also, how were the people of Japan convinced to agree to nuclear power? That is the $1 million question we always face.
Yes, that's a riddle.
Yeah.
And many people, these 3 years, many people have been asking these questions to themselves. What did we do? And I think the same question, almost the same question, applies to
all countries and
all issues. And this touches the very sort of a core of what we call globalization. Okay, nuclear power actually is boiling water. You know that, boiling water?
Yep.
In the meantime, in Japan, we've got tens of thousands of very hot, hot springs. Right? In this country, we created this very dangerous technology just to boil water.
And produce electricity.
And they call it high tech. Right? But we laugh here. But this is what we have been doing all over the world. There are more than 100 reactors in the world.
Nearly half in Japan.
No, only 50. So, 1/8 in Japan.
Oh, okay.
And so every step of a nuclear technology, from mining, we tend to forget that Fukushima accident, and many people say that, but accident doesn't happen very often, but we are forgetting that from mining, we are causing so many problems, and very often mining is done where the indigenous people live, and we have been destroying the livelihood of indigenous people all over the world. And the waste, of course, is the biggest problem. Probably you have seen some of the films about this. There's a very good film called Into Eternity.
Really?
Somebody saw this film from Europe.
Oh.
It was about the Onkalo. What is it called, where they deposit the waste and bury it for good. What is it called, that kind of
Dump site.
Dump site, but it's a little more sophisticated than that. But anyway, they claim in Finland, right? They claim that they found the most stable, geological structure in the world. Last billions of years, this has no sign of movement. I don't know how many places like that exist in the world, but anyway, they said that this is the safest place. So they dug, a tunnel in it, 300 meters below the surface, and they started to put everything in there. And they started to have a very serious discussion. And actually, we need this kind of discussion. This discussion was involves people from both sides. People against the nuclear power and for nuclear power. It doesn't matter because it exists already, whether you are against or not. And in this discussion, somebody questioned, so it's going to be dangerous for the next at least 10,000 years, right? Or 100,000 years. So who would be living, 10,000 years from now here, right? Would they be speaking Finnish? They said probably not. So English probably. But think about the 10,000 years ago. We have no idea, who was there, what the language they were speaking. So we are trying to communicate with these people, telling them that there's something dangerous in here. Again, it's laughable, but this is the situation.
Yep.
So all these people, theologians, philosophers, all kinds of professors and intellectuals got together and discussed, what do we do? How do they communicate with the people in the future that we have done something like this, and this is just very, very dangerous. How dangerous? You know, how do we express how dangerous this is? So somebody in the film, right, one guy suggested that, well, language doesn't
Matter.
Play a role. So we need a kind of picture. You know, what kind of picture? Sign, you know, illustration. And finally one guy said maybe what is the name of the picture? Munk's screen?
Screen. Yeah.
What is that?
Screen.
There's a classical picture, you know.
Ah.
Anyway,
Ah.
it is almost comical.
Yes.
But this is the kind of discussion that all these, you know, experts.
One more question regarding Fukushima was, what was the spread of the radiation, and how much did the government actually evacuate people? To what distance?
First it was at 20, right? And it
20
expanded to 30.
Okay.
But then they realized that actually contamination doesn't, you know, spread like, you know, in circle, right? So now this is the I told you about the 20 millisievert. That's the level, you know, of radiation exposure that they are allowing,
Yeah.
you know, including children.
20 million.
Millisievert.
My God.
It's written MSV.
That's very high exposure.
Very high.
Yes.
Very high. Because before the Fukushima incident, it was 1. And it's the world standard now. Accepted as world standard. 1 millisievert.
Yeah.
But even that, for children, it's very dangerous. You know, especially infants, right? It's very dangerous.
What does it do if it is like beyond 1 millisievert? What are the possible health impacts?
The case of Chernobyl, you know, many children especially got a thyroid cancer, right? And heart failure, all kinds of related. But this is another thing. The most conservative figure that some of the experts came up with at the time of Chernobyl, that the number of deaths related to a nuclear accident was 29 people, right? The most liberal figure is 1 million people. What is this? What is this gap?
So 1 million
See,
people.
this is the world we are living in. We talk about information, but what kind of information? Who is controlling the information? Right? And anyway, even now in Japan, this is exactly what's happening. I told you, right, some of the figures. Already there's a sign, very clear sign of health abnormalities, but still through media, some of the experts in power, they're saying that it is hard to believe that these are related to the accident. You know, although the rate of the occurrence is now more than 100 times more than the normal or average ratio.